Hey, good morning. Welcome to Jeremy's Journey. Today, we're building a table for the inside of the van. It's going to be made out of 3/4 inch black iron pipe, and I'm going to show you the parts that I got for it. So this is the beginning of the leg. I'm just getting all the pieces laid out and connected to see how it's going to fit. Did a couple trial fits. At the bottom we have a 3/4, everything's 3/4 inch. So we have a floor flange, and that will be held down with 4 bolts. I'm using 1/4 inch by 1.5" screws, and I'm going to have threaded inserts below the wood, which we'll see in a second as well. Went with 18 inches tall, a 90, a 12 inch, a 90, a 2 inch, another 90, a 12 inch, 90, and I actually have to get, I was going to use a 2 inch, but I don't want to anymore. I'm just going to get a male-to-male connector, and on that end we'll have another one of these. So this is going to be mounted to the floor. This is going to be mounted to the bottom of my wood top, and then with the connector, it's going to sit fairly flush to that. So there is going to be certain points, like these points, here and here, and probably this point, that are going to be fully tightened so they can't move. But this point here, this joint, and when this is on here, and this joint, they're going to be not tightened down. They're going to be tightened down as far as I can by hand to the position that I want it. And then when you move it around in the van, you'll see later, once I have it set up, when you move it around, you're only going to be spinning it out a couple threads, and then that way it's never going to spin all the way off. So I'm going to give it a shot anyways and see how it works. One of the first things you need to do with these parts, because they come covered in oil or like a cutting oil or something like that, just from manufacturing, I always wear some sort of gloves, usually my leather gloves, to handle this stuff because it just gets all over everything. But what I've done is I have the bottom of a container, it was a windshield wash container, filled it maybe 1 inch deep full of Varsol, and drop it in. Try not to splash it all over the place like that. And I have a stainless steel wire brush. I can actually pick up 3 of these at the dollar store. You get a plastic one, a brass one, and a steel one. I like the steel ones. Anyway, all you do is you get in there, and it doesn't have to be a lot of scrubbing, but you want to scrub the whole surface with your little brush and flip it over and scrubbing the other side of it, and then scrub the inside on the threads and everything. And then once you're done, take it out, sit it on the cloth, and you can just kind of run the cloth around it and dry it off, but the Varsol will evaporate very fast once you take it out. So once you've done a quick dry with it, just leave it sitting out on the rag for a little while. I don't know, give it 5-10 minutes, and just let it air dry. After you've done that piece, go through and do all the pipe, all the fittings, everything. And then we can go later on, after you've got it all stripped off, you can paint it. You can use Minwax finishing paste on it to seal it up, or you could even spray it with a clear coat if you wanted it shiny or matte or whatever, but something to seal it back up, and just so it doesn't rust. It's going to be inside the van, but there's always the opportunity that it could rust. Sorry about any background noise we get today. Everybody's out using their pressure washers and blowers and stuff, cleaning up. It's a nice spring day. It's, I think, 15-16 degrees and no wind, so it's really awesome outside. But anyway, let's get back to the van. With this table idea, I wish I would have thought about it a little while ago, maybe a long while ago. I want to put it there, and I already rolled back the carpet and I started to figure out where I want it. I haven't bolted it down or anything. What I want to use is, because it's got the 4 bolts, went around and took some of the perimeter screws out, all these screws all the way around, but I want to use these T-nuts, and these have to be installed from the bottom. So I have to lift up the plywood enough that I can slide this in and run a bolt with a washer to suck these little teeth right into the bottom of the plywood. Here we go. We've got our floor mount, or this is a floor flange. We've got that mounted, and I'm positive that is not going to pull out. So I just got to grab the vacuum, clean it all out, and take the shims back out so I can lower it back down flat to the other thing and put all the perimeter screws back in, and then start building the rest of it. I gotta cut a hole in the rug in the bottom so that the pipe comes through. But this other flange is gonna get screwed onto the bottom of my tabletop. And then once I get the little 1-inch connector rod there, this will spin on the threads of that. Got a 240 grit sanding disc. Lightly scuff up the surface. One more time. So yesterday I installed all the piping in that for my table, all the black iron pipe with the floor flange, and mounted it to the floor with the T-nuts. I didn't have time last night to cut the top, so first thing, I was really excited to get this top done, or this table done. So I went to the shop first thing this morning, grabbed a scrap piece of the same good two-sided maple. I just had another scrap of it kicking around. I cut that to 12 by 24 and drilled. I countersunk all the holes and everything, drilled my holes, gave it a good sand, and I did a half round over with my router on all the edges, top and bottom, and I am really pleased with it. I'll take it off, give it a spin. Almost. It's on by 5 or 6 threads, so it's on there good. I've got one of the floor flanges on the bottom side with some 1/4 inch by 1 inch bolts. It's holding that into those through nuts. 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch bolts. That way they wouldn't bottom out on these nuts, because I had to countersink them a little bit. But yeah, it has about 6 threads that screw down onto this this 1.5 nipple, and just place it on there. I'll probably take the top off when I'm traveling or driving, so it doesn't smash around into something. But it does go around fairly loose, and then it'll get to the bottom and it snugs it right up. So it doesn't wobble on that joint at all. It's got a little bit of wobble in it, but that's because I'm stretching it almost 2 feet to center, and then plus another foot after that for the top. I still gotta put, I have some water-based polyurethane that I'm gonna rub on to this right away. Get it all sealed up nicely, probably put 2 or 3 coats since it's gonna be a high traffic area. But yeah, I went 24 inches wide so I could put my 15-inch laptop on here and still have room for my mouse beside it. But I think it's going to be the perfect height for working from the bed. I'm not on the mattress right now, so I'll be up a little bit taller and my head will be bent. It looks like it might be a little bit high though for the chair, so I might end up being kind of like this. We'll see. I might even take a wireless keyboard, and then it doesn't matter. I just have this to set the screen on. But if I'm sitting in bed, I can extend it out. I can sit the laptop off the end, use my mouse over here on the table. You can also put it over here, sit the laptop on here, and like I showed, you can put it like this, so I can work from, when I spin that seat around, I can work right onto this top. And I can put it, I have the door closed at the moment, but I could swing it out the door to have a little bit of a work surface as well. And if I manipulate the seats enough, I can actually get it to go into the front. I'd have to lay the seat down or lean it forward enough to get this guy past, I think, maybe. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I can even use that as a center console, a really tall one if I wanted. They'll go over top of that wooden box, maybe. This might clear it, I don't know. I'll check that out later. Yeah, all in all, I think it cost me about $40 for the screws, all the piping, the flanges and all that, not including the piece of plywood because that was just a piece of scrap. So yeah, if you're looking to make one of these, budget about $40 for black iron pipe. Buy a bunch of fittings, take them home, try them. You shouldn't have to cut anything. Just use the fittings that are appropriate length for what you want to do. I did try to go longer. I used 2 12-inch fittings. I did try 2 18-inch fittings, and I wasn't too confident in the support because you're going 3 feet out and putting the weight on it. It compounds over distance, and I think it would just be too much weight for even if I went up to 1 inch, it might be still too much. So, but I'm comfortable with the 212, so I got just over 24 inches of reach to center, and yeah, I really like it. So highly recommend building something like this yourself. That way you can kind of customize it to fit your area, just like this, where I can reach wherever. I was really looking at one of those Laguna marine tables, but I just had no, you have to attach it to a vertical surface, and the only thing I could attach it to is to the front of my drawer faces, and I really didn't want to do that. And I looked at a bunch of other ones on Amazon and stuff like that, and they just weren't going to work. So this way I could pick the location I wanted, I could attach it securely to the floor, and just kind of customize it to my space with using different fittings and such. So I'll see how it works out over the summer, but I'm really confident that it's going to be good. So that's it for the table, and I'm going to head off to the shop and work on something else for the van today. I don't know what yet. I've got a long list of stuff to do in the next 2 weeks. So I'm just puttering away and trying to get my checklist all done. So, till next time.